What's up, my fellow lionesses and lions? Welcome to the Project Lioness podcast, where we are here to disrupt the mainstream narrative when it comes to health, holism, and human consciousness. We are here to share bold truths about health and life from a female perspective. This episode is brought to you by our team, Inspire Co., where we stand for your health being inspired by choice rather than being inhibited by chance. Thank you for being here and joining in on these raw, real, and powerful conversations. We hope our show brings you inspiration and empowerment to overcome challenges, reclaim your life, and ultimately pursue your mission with power, purpose, and play. Now, let's get into the episode.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I usually have not gone live in this group in a hot minute. But here we are, y'all. Happy Monday. I usually go live in my Inspire community, and I'm starting to shift things up. If you haven't noticed, things are evolving, things are changing. That is life. And in any evolution, there can be some turbulence. In any process of becoming, there can be the energy of both creation and destruction. It's all part of the game. So come on over, my friends, grab your morning beverage and let's have a lioness chat, shall we? So I've been really in deep processing mode of this concept of be, do, have. And it's not a new way, it's not a new model out there, especially if you're in like the self-development and personal development world. It's not a new model. The be, do, have concept is instead of focusing on what you want to have, you focus on being, and then you do, and then you have the material, right? A lot of you in this group probably get that, but here's where people get stuck. And they think they're doing this be, do, have thing, but they're still stuck in this like, what I call the if, then, when trap. And it's this: when I have XYZ, then I'll do and be this. And while they think they're doing this be, do, have right, which again, there's no right or wrong, this gets you stuck because it keeps you in this mode of conditions. It keeps you in this mode of someday. The someday trap is what I call this, or the if, then, when trap. It's very conditional, meaning you're waiting for a certain point in time to take an action or become something, but it's based on material having, right? Once I have the money in the bank, then I'll do this. Once I have XYZ set up, I'll be ready to do and be this. And I get that. That's one model and way and mode of being in the world. And most of the culture does that. I would argue many of you in this group and in this container are choosing to operate differently. And we all get stuck in this, right? Even the greats, even the gurus get stuck in this. And the problem with this is that day of when sometimes doesn't come. Or you push out the line of like when that is, you keep pushing it out. Like, oh, well, it didn't happen then, but I'll just do it in the future, right? And then the someday never comes. And then guess what? All of a sudden we're going into fall right now. And you know that there's going to be mass marketing to, pumpkin spice lattes and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And then it's spring again. And all of a sudden you're like around a full revolution. And you're in the same exact spot that you were a year ago. You're in the same exact spot because you're playing this game of if, then, when, and the someday trap. And I want to break that for you and give you a new model. Would that be okay with you? If I gave you a new model to actually like learn how to do this the way that actually supports you and who you're becoming? Because here's the thing, again, nothing wrong with have, do, be. It's just takes a lot of work and there's a lot of density involved, and your self-worth and who you're becoming is based on having things, having time, having money, having material stuff. And the truth is you will never feel ready. You can keep putting the goalposts back, but you're never going to feel ready. And this is the difference between people who I've been reading 10x is easier than 2x. I think it's a great book. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to read it. It's so great. But this is the difference between people who really make gains in their life by doing less versus people where they're just so much in the grind and there's no actual meaningful progress that's being made. So here's the shift is to then do and act as if and as though you are that of being and becoming, so that then what happens is the having on the material side of things over here branches from the spiritual or the becoming. And I talk a lot about this in my Project Lioness program. I have an entire vortex vault that I go deep into these mysteries and how to master the mysteries of life in all areas of life to really help you become a creator in what you want to create, in what you want to become. So when we shift this model from being and becoming to then doing in our actions, following that frequency to then the having, you no longer focus on the having. You focus on the experience of becoming. But here's the thing that I think people also get stuck is, and I will probably turn this recording right now into a podcast because it's something that I see all the time with people where they're like, well, I got to wait until this. And then this thing doesn't happen. And you just keep pushing the thing of becoming back. And you're in the same frequency that you were again a year ago, 10 years ago. And you're like, why am I not making any progress? Here's why, my friends, is you've got to shift this way of thinking, which is actually more than just thinking. I'll get to that in a second. It's more than just changing your thoughts and affirmations. It's so much more of a whole person experience. So here's the shift. And I'll give you an example. So what does it mean to like be and become? Because when people hear like, what do you mean be do you have? How do I be the thing? Well, the thing is an identity that you're becoming or expressing more of an identity of who you are. So for example, here's what I've been practicing the last couple of months. Earlier in December 2024, I said, I want to be and become an author and write a book. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I wasn't waiting until I had everything, the having, right? I wasn't waiting until I had all the things set up. I said, I want to be and become more of an author. And here's where people get stuck is also you must realize that you are that thing now in some form. So while I hadn't necessarily published a huge New York Times best-selling book, I had written books. And think of this is the trippy thing. As soon as I started tapping into this be do have, I realized, oh my gosh, there is a book. Kid you not, there was a book in my office that I wrote when I was like 8 years old. And it's a hardcover book. And I illustrated it, I wrote it, and I was 8. And it's an actual book. So you could argue that I already am an author. I'm an author when, and you, this is, I share this example, use your own identity that you are being and becoming, and you already are. I am that. Soham, Sanskrit, Soham, I am that. So then as I start stepping into this author, I start to realize, wow, I have actually been an author this entire time, just in other forms. And that's where people get stuck is they fail to find the form in which they're already that thing that they are choosing to become. Because even when people say, well, I want to become an author or a speaker or $1 million business, it can feel like there's still this gap, right? From like here to here. And you don't realize the form in which you already are that and expanding into that and having gratitude to the form in which you are. So the moment I started realizing, oh my gosh, I already am an author. Like I've been an author since age 8. I write a lot, actually. I write all of my content. All of the content I write, I don't use AI. I use AI for other things, but a lot of the emails and a lot of the copy and content that you guys see on here, and if you follow me on Instagram, I write that. Is that not a form of being an author? You could argue yes. So here we are today. Here's my book. This is the actual first copy. I have it, and I'm going to be going to print with hundreds of copies very, very soon. I'm just waiting for my marketing people to have the landing page. But now I am an author right here, right now. And I have always been, and I've expanded that identity into a different form of an author, right? Writing an actual physical book, a hardcover copy that has an ISBN number that's going to go out to, hundreds of thousands of people. That's my intention. So now being an author, what is the then doing? Well, if I when I chose to say, no, I'm not going to wait until I've got everything figured out. I'm not going to wait until XYZ falls into place. I am going to become it now. I am an author. And I claimed that a few months ago. And so then the doing became, okay, if I am an author, what does my action look like every day? What are the actions that I take if I am an author? If I claim that identity for myself? I was writing every day. I was editing every day. I was going through and adding new content into this book, y'all. This book already has edits that make it an even more stellar book for when you guys purchase it. So the doing was I write every day. That is who I am as an author, right? I write every day. I download content every day, and I organize it into a way that follows chapters and that follows a rhythm of writing. And then the having is having the physical book, having the people who want to buy the book, right? But I didn't focus on, I got to have people to like buy the book. No, I focused on becoming first. I focused on being, and now I've got a wait list of people ready to buy this book, but I wasn't focusing on that first. I wasn't focusing on like, I got to have the money to write the book. No, I started writing and being the author, and then the people showed up to buy the book, which then comes the resources, the money, the people who want it, right? And one of the things I'm actually doing is I'm only having 100 for my first initial launch. You can obviously buy it after that, but for my first initial launch, I'm giving a lot of book bonuses away, including access to frameworks and resources that have helped me build my brick and mortar business to help you track your stats, track your sales, all the things that I wish I had when I started. Debt calculator, a loan calculator to help you, because a lot of people I know interested in this are chiropractors, and we sometimes have doctoral debt. So helping you figure that out. And then you get 2 bonus modules to my Inspire Business and Alignment Accelerator. Again, that's the having, but I had to become an author, and an author that wants to serve people and being that here and now and transcending space and time. If you guys are getting this, comment below, like, what are you getting? I can't see the comments, but I'll circle back after the live once I close out the live. But what are you getting out of this? If you're watching this live, if you're watching the podcast, comment below on YouTube or send me a DM on Instagram if you're on Spotify. Like, what are you getting out of this? Is this helping turn some dials in your brain and realizing, oh, I've been doing it backwards. I've been trying to put the cart in front of the horse, when in reality, it's becoming and knowing that you are worthy to be and become that here and now. And not waiting for someday. This is where especially entrepreneurs get stuck. They're waiting for someday, when the thing happens, when the physical thing happens. No, my friends, that is not it. That is not it. And I will fall into that trap sometimes, absolutely. But the more I step into be, do, have, and realize it's not about the physical thing, it's about the experience, then I can have gratitude for whatever happens in non-attachment for the material. So setting the intention, high intention, low attachment. One of my mentors says that, Rachel Bell, high intention, low attachment. And I love that, because whether one person buys this book or thousands of people buy this book, I am an author and I wrote the damn thing. And I know I've already got sales happening behind the scenes before it's gone public, because I'm sneaky like that. But I had the experience of writing it. And there will be many, many more books, because I am an author. And there's a new level of authorship that you expand into in the being. And substitute author, whatever your identity is. Are you a speaker? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a mom? Are you a writer? Are you a teacher? Are you a coach? Are you a facilitator? Like, what is that thing that you already have inside of you that is the brilliance of who you are? The brilliance of all of creation inside of you that you can start to expand into and realize, you know what, I am worthy of expanding into that. But here's the thing. Here's one more thing on this. When you start to expand into that beingness and that becoming, 2 things can happen. Number 1, you get prideful. And I'm going to go really far into this in my Project Lioness training. So you Project Lioness students, get ready. This is going to be next week. What happens is people either become super prideful and they get super egotistical about it. They put themselves on a pedestal and they think people are worse than them because they haven't written a book, and their pride takes over. And pride will stop you in your tracks. You will get humbled the fuck if you get caught up in your pride. So that's one thing that happens in expansion, is your pride takes over. The other thing that can happen is the opposite, where shame and guilt start to kick in. Who am I to write a book? Who am I to sell copies of a book? and make money? Who am I to like make a difference, right? Who am I to write a book? That guilt and shame comes in. And you know what? This pride and shame, it is all driven by your past patterns and your experiences, period. That's where those patterns emerge, because when you expand into something within you and you hit those edges, these patterns from your past say, wait a second, oh, is this safe? Can I expand into this? Or they say, they go to the pride level, which is all driven by guilt and shame. The last thing that I recommend you don't get stuck in the pride and the shame when you expand is gratitude. And when you're in a state of gratitude for the growth and the expansion, and you're grateful for what is and what is not, and you're grateful for who you are and who you are not, and you're grateful for what is and what is not, that is where true growth and expansion happens. You're grateful for the experience. You're grateful for the learning. You're grateful for the books you sell, and you're grateful for the books you didn't sell, because it's all learning and evolution in who you are being and who you are becoming. And you don't let your pride take over, and you don't let the shame destroy you. Those are the two things that are going to keep you stuck in the expansion of who you are becoming. Unless you choose to recalibrate and shift your belief architecture and do some recalibration of your pride and shame and guilt and all that stuff from your past, that's a whole nother conversation. When you do that, you actually can expand into your current self, into your future with way more ease and way more fun and fulfillment and gratitude. And it's all about the experience. So I digress. One more thing on this. And that, my friends, is actually where the work really lies, is when you notice these emotional, static, turbulence patterns showing up, that's where your work lies in this be, do, have experience. Because anytime you expand into something, what you perceive as new, which has really just been inside of you this whole time, stuff's going to emerge. You're human. And that's where the work lies, is, okay, how do I navigate the things that are rising, these emotions that are keeping me stuck? That's where the work lies. And it's not just repeating affirmations. It's not just like, I am worthy and I am beautiful. That helps. And there's something deeper here. Because a lot of these patterns, my friends, are not just in your mind, but they're in your body. They're in your physical soma. So when we talk about this concept of be, do, have, the being and becoming is not just like, okay, I am being. But when you sense into being more of who you are, what is your somatic experience with that? Does your chest tighten up? Does your breath expand? Do you feel some nausea in your gut? Do you feel your shoulders tighten up? Do you feel your rectum clench? Do you feel your inner thighs gripping? And those subconscious patterns are absolutely driving your frequency of being and becoming, which then influence your actions, which then influence the having. And there's a distortion in the field. So it's not just mental affirmations. It's not just thinking new thoughts. Yes, thinking new thoughts matters. But there's an entire recalibration process that is required of us in our body and our soma to actually build enough safety and capacity and expand what I call our receiving ceiling. I talk a lot about that in my Embodied Sales Incubator. When we expand our receiving ceiling, we expand our body, we can receive and expand and become without all this distortion, without gripping and thinking, who am I, right? Or am I worthy of this? The way that you step more into this is you know that you are worthy here and now. And you feel that expansion and that breath in your body. And when you can create from that experience, that creates a whole new experience for you. And a whole new experience that shows up in the physical realm. Because you're coming at it from a place of coherence. And alignment and coherence in your physical body. You can breathe. You're not chasing things. You're not running away from things. You're not in these default patterns I talk about in your nervous system. You're here, you're present, and you're grateful for whatever happens in the experience of becoming more of who you are. So my friends, changing these thought patterns all the way back to the beginning of what's keeping you stuck in the if then when condition, in the someday. It's not just a mental thing. It is, but there's so many other layers here. And there's a posturing that begins to happen when you claim, like, I am this. I am here now. I am present. Your heart opens up, your shoulders drop, your spine gets strong, your energy lifts, and you feel that expansion all the way down to your pelvis. And again, like I said, this is a lot of what I teach in Project Lioness, is it's not just coaching you mentally, but retraining your nervous system and your body to actually feel this now. Feel it in your body now. Experience it in your body here and now, because the thing is, in the quantum realm, there is no time. So in this moment, you are the New York Times bestselling author. In this moment, you are the sold out speaker on stages. You are the multi-7-figure entrepreneur. When you claim that in the spiritual dimension, you can allow it to start to expand in the physical, and realizing, okay, I am that now. I am that now. So hum, in what form? And then allowing yourself to expand into that. Let me know what you're getting out of this, y'all. I super appreciate you being here. I hope this is helping you shift and turn some, dials in your brain, and realizing that when you play in the someday, the if then when trap, it keeps us playing in the game of mediocrity, and it keeps us small, because you're here. I know you're here, especially those of you in this group, to play a bigger game. In bigger does not mean more. To me, when I think about bigger, it's about the bigness of who you are inside of you and the impact that you're here to make in the lives of people around you, in your family, in your friends, in your clients, in your colleagues, on the planet. There's something inside of you that no matter what turbulence comes online, it keeps knocking at the door and says, hey, you're made for more. And again, more does not mean more stuff, but more of your soul essence, your zone of genius, the core of who you really are, in which you're liberated, you're fully expressed. You're living courageously, as I call it. You're in your courage codes. You've gone from fear to ferocity. And you're unstoppable in your confidence. And you have vibrant health. And you're creative. And you don't let the little things that happen in life get you down. You see it as opportunities to grow. That's a new model. That's a new way of being, my friends. And that way of being can take some restructuring. There's a method to that madness. There's a framework. There are frameworks to that. And here's one that I wanted to give you today. So drop in the comments what you got. If you're listening to this, because I am going to turn this into a podcast, DM me. What did you get? Let me know. I want to know how this is landing for you. Let's have a conversation and not just be bystanders and just consume this data and information. Like, that was great, Mel, but like, no, what is one small step you can take today that can shift this paradigm for you and collapse what may happen in 5 years into 1 year? I never thought, my soul knew, but I even said this to my coach. I said, I didn't realize I was going to this book thing was going to happen the way it did. I knew I was becoming that. And I had no idea how. I wasn't focused on the having. The having is the how. I was focusing on being and becoming. And then all of a sudden, here we are. Here we are. And my invitation is to step into that and to invite you to step into more of that in your life, because life gets so much more juicy. It does. It's like you're just not in this mundane program, right? Of oh, same shit, different day. No, cut that shit out. Cut that shit out. All right, my friends, I got to run. Thank you for being here. Love you so much. Let me know what you got out of this, and I'll see you at the next perfect time. Cheers.
Thank you for joining the Project Lioness podcast. Did you find value in today's episode? Help us impact the lives of others by sharing this podcast with someone you know who would resonate and benefit from the Project Lioness message. Excited to hear more? We invite you to subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we'd be so grateful for you to leave us a review about what you enjoy most, as well as what you'd like to hear more of. Thank you so much for all of your support. Sincerely yours in power, purpose, and play. Dr. Mel with the Project Lioness podcast. Keep rising, keep roaring, and keep inspiring.